Welcome to this episode of Locked In. In this episode, we're going to be doing my review of the Magene C606 Cycle Computer. If you're looking for a feature-packed, budget-friendly cycling computer, this might be the one for you, so stay tuned. In this video, I'm going to be going over setup, specs, and features, pricing, and my final thoughts. So first, let's get into setup. A lot of budget-oriented computers typically don't have a companion app, but you are in luck. The Magene C606 does. So it's simply turning the computer on with the power button at the top, press and hold. You can see in real time how quickly this is going to boot up. Then your unit is on. Then you're simply going to download the companion app, which is the One Lap Fit app. You're going to launch that and then pair it with your device. I've already done this one time. It's already repaired. But basically, you come to this home screen and you're going to see your last recorded rides. The little icon up here is going to get you into all of your settings that you want to set up for your cycling unit. So you have a couple of quick things here. You're going to see quick navigation. This is going to be if you want to search something real quick. Then you're going to go to see my routes for any of your previously uploaded cycling routes and where you'd want to create a new route as well. Then you have your riding profiles. You can add multiple profiles. So I have road and then commute. So that way you can easily switch between what data fields are important to you before going on a ride if you have a route added or not. After that is going to be your indoor training setup, as well as setting up for your smart assistant. Now, this is really cool, and especially at this price point, which we'll be getting into later, really feature-packed and something I honestly didn't expect with this unit. You have automatic headlights, which basically can give a command for Bluetooth-controlled or ANT Plus controlled headlights or taillights, as well as you can have added other features such as your heart rate being exceeded at a certain point to let you know not to go above the threshold if you are doing a train regime or training on your ride. Energy replenishment, which is basically just a reminder to eat or drink something, because trust me, we've all done it. We've all bonked on a ride and not eaten as much as we should, which is a really cool feature that seems really simple, but can be great, especially if you're getting into the sport and you're working on dialing in your nutrition. You do have as well as climber planning, which is basically just like a climb function for routes that are loaded up, so you can see basically what the gradient and how long your climb is going to be on a ride. And lastly, it's just your general settings. This is where you're going to choose if you want to see kilometers or miles per hour and set up your multiple bikes. Now, going into the setup or your features page, I'll just briefly go over this since it works very similar to other styles of units. But if you haven't used one before, basically you're going to click on the profile that you want to access. You can add multiple pages, change the icon, theme, and color. And then you can simply add and subtract pages and then tap on each individual tile as you see fit, like I am right here. Then changing the data field accordingly to whatever you prefer. Once you're done, you're going to hit complete, save, and then that'll update to the unit. Now you're good to roll. Everything that you put in has been set up and changed on the unit. Now let's get into specs and features for the unit itself. It's going to have a 2.8 touchscreen with 3 physical buttons. You have your power button up here, your start stop button down here, and on the left, you're going to have your page over. Now you can see here that the screen is actually pretty responsive. There's a little bit of a lag sometimes where it feels like the screen's not turning back too fast to be kind of too zippy. So it kind of have like this slow kind of bounce, I would say, to it, but relatively quickly responding. Haven't had any issues where it didn't react within a timely manner. Then as far as your sensors, you can add and subtract all of those. They do sync pretty quickly. I would say usually if the unit powers up, you're going to get those sensors to all click into place as long as they're powered up and within range, within the first 30 seconds to a minute max. Now you can see a list of all your sensors here. You can add and subtract those as you go, and then basically these will light up once they get attached or they're within range of the unit. After that, you can select if you want to load a route, do indoor train or smart assistant, and access pretty much all the features on the unit in the unit itself. And when you want to start a ride, you're going to click on the ride profile you want to use. It's going to show you what sensors are connected so you can wait for those to add. Obviously, I'm not riding right now, so here we are. Then choose if you want to add a route, hit start, and your unit comes to life. Now you can easily swap between each page or use the physical button at the bottom. This is going to use the Garmin style standard for the mounting system, which I really like. So all Garmin quarter turn mounts will work with this Magene unit. They're going to rate this battery life between 17 to 24 hours, but up to 28 in long range mode. I basically average, I'd say, about 15 hours of battery life in the time that I used it, based on just never charging it and seeing kind of where I got to when it dies. And this will charge via USB-C, which is going to be conveniently on the bottom of the unit. I do like this placement over the base of the unit, like other models that I've reviewed on this channel before. This way you can basically have this on your front mount, depending on the style of unit that you're using. You can usually plug this in while riding with an attached battery bank, so you can really extend that mileage very conveniently while you're on your epic ride. Now, this is going to hook up to all of your standard AMP Plus and Bluetooth devices and accessories, even power meters, which sometimes at the more entry-level price point, some computers don't work with that, but this one does, and hooked up to my stages, no problem, and it's been pretty consistent. Your heart rate monitors, your radars, which Magene also makes as well, and a myriad of other things that you can see all the breakdown on their webpage, which I will be linking below for this unit. And you can buy this in a different combination of kits directly from them. So if you want to add a speed sensor or a cadence sensor, heart rate strap, or their radar, you can do that all in the bundles below. This is also going to feature an auto dimming function, which I really like on head units to preserve battery life without having to mess with it. Obviously, you can manually override that if you want to, but I always like that feature in case you're going in and out of dark areas. It's going to auto adjust while you ride. And this is going to sync up to any of your authorized apps, which are going to include currently, which may obviously change in the future, Strava, Training Peaks, and Decathlon. This means that after you're done with your ride, the app will automatically sync with your unit and then push that ride to your Strava profile or the other ones that I had mentioned. Now, this unit is still relatively new, so there are some features that may be changing over the years. So make sure to check the links below to see if there's any other connected apps, if there's one that you use that I didn't mention currently. Now, as far as routing goes, you do have a really nice looking mapping display, but as you saw when I quickly went through it, unless you have a route loaded, it's actually going to be blank. So you're not going to have just like a generic Google Street View or something like that while you're riding. If you just want to see kind of what roads are around you, you're going to have to pull out your phone to do that. As far as routing goes, there's two options. You can either manually upload GPX files into the unit, and if you want to do it via mobile, you can do that as well. But currently, as of me filming this, you're not able to import them directly in-app from Strava. Basically, you need to go to your desktop, download the route that you want to send, and then email it to yourself. And I am on iPhone. I'm not sure how this is going to work on Android, but you're just going to save that GPX file to your My Files app. You're simply going to email the route to yourself, and then you're going to save it into your My Files app. You can name it whatever is easiest to remember, save it. Then you're going to go back into the app. You're going to click on My Routes, create new route, import route from GPX file. Select that. Then you're going to see a preview of the route. Hit save. And now you're going to get the route saved into your routes, which you can obviously select on this and import it to your bike computer. Now, I do like that you can actually have an overlay and kind of see what the data is for the ride, really well laid out on here. The other thing that you can do to make a route is if you've already ridden this route before, you can actually go to My Route, create new, then you can convert a ride into a route. This allows you to basically take one that let's say you did and you liked, you can then save it to then have it to reuse later. Then the last option that I would probably use, but it is a convenient feature, is actually creating your own on here. Now, the cool thing is it basically works as you're setting data points as you go, add into route. Now, the only thing that I can't really define here is what it's using as far as picking the route that it's going to take you on. I'm not sure what logic it's using because sometimes it routes stuff that I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't. But you could really go into the details here and select basically every corner. And you could do that all on your phone, which you can't do on the Strava app currently. So kind of a nice feature, but it is going to take a little bit more work than obviously using a desktop app to create a route or downloading it. But still a great option, but a little bit of a workaround, just so you know. Now that's going to lead me into price. Now I'm going to be listing the current price for it at the retail level. Now that can change if it goes on sale, but the unit itself is only $159. Now that's going to include, as well as a charging cable, the unit itself, a lanyard, and one extra mount that you can zip tie or use their O-rings that are supplied to mount it on your stem or handlebar or somewhere else. Then for only a little bit more money at $178, you can get the unit included with a speed and cadence sensor. For $248, you can get the Magene radar taillight, which I really, really like, and we'll be doing a separate review probably later on this channel, so make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on if you haven't already. But I think this is a great added value, and especially if you're new into the sport, I think this is a great option and a really affordable price point because basically for the unit and the radar light is typically what you're going to be spending for an entry-level unit from a Wahoo or Garmin style cycling computer that may or may not have the same features. With that being said, let's get into my final thoughts. What did I love about this unit? What did I like and dislike? Before I get into this, I will let you know that Magene did send me this unit to review, but I'm by no means paid by them. These are all my own original thoughts, and they're not looking at this video prior to me posting it. What I really liked about this unit was honestly how sturdy this thing feels. It feels really, really well built, and it feels a little heavier in hand than what the scale would suggest. But that being said, I could totally see this thing being really tough and lasted you a long time. The touchscreen was responsive enough to where it wasn't anything that I noticed really. It just kind of worked. Have I tested units that are a little bit faster response time? Absolutely. But this was totally passable even at this price point. After that, I did like all the features that the app included because I didn't even use all of them. And at this price point, especially for the notifications and the hydration or eating reminders, all things that typically you're going to see in a higher end unit are niceties that they built in for this. As far as connectivity, it connected really quick. It did take maybe a little bit longer than other units, I would say, to connect to GPS when you're outside, but that did depend on the day and if I started the unit inside my place versus outside initially. But we're talking an extra 30 to 40 seconds than other units, I would say. Nothing to really bother you. And I never had the GPS or speed drop because I just tested the unit itself. I like doing that because it tests the GPS signal instead of it relying on the speed sensor. So a really accurate way to judge that. As far as all the metrics and how it basically gauged my speed, it kind of lined up with what I expect to do on my road/gravel bike, and everything checked out. I never had any issues with any data dropping out on my Strava rides once all my sensors were connected. Now, the next thing I really liked is how they integrated the radar notifications for this. That is something that I have tested this radar with other units, and I didn't like the logic of it. I kind of like how they did this, and it simplified it and made it a little bit less annoying, let's say. So you can easily see, I'll turn on my radar here. Then you're instantly going to get, hopefully you can see that, a set of basically dashes that are along the left side. The reason I like this is it's relatively small, and you can still see through where the dashes are and all your metrics. Sometimes other units I've seen where it kind of blacks that bar out in a sense where it hides things so you can't always see all your numbers. Basically what happens is as it senses a vehicle, it will beep once and then you'll see the arrow go up all the way and then it'll beep again when it's clear. The reason I like that is because some units will beep every time a new vehicle enters basically this field, which gets honestly super, super annoying on the ride. So I like that this is basically just a, hey, there's somebody, hey, it's all clear, and that's it. And typically the person would pass me kind of in this upper quarter. So it would give you a little bit extra safety, obviously that it's fully clear because they fully cleared you, but technically they're passing you basically around here. And that's something you kind of learn with every unit on how it's going to react. The other thing that's cool is you can actually set up how you want this light to react, either based on the time or what mode it's going to automatically go into. So for mine, I had it automatically turn on flash when it sensed the unit. And I had another kind of task where when I turned the unit off, it would then tell the radar to go off. Super, super smart. And again, for that price point, really cool feature. Just in case I forget to turn it off for some reason, it would automatically do that for me. And I really like that it uses the Garmin ecosystem for mounts, which means that you don't have to have an issue trying to get a mount, especially on different areas of your bike, because essentially, no matter if you go OEM like a K-Edge or a bunch of other third-party manufacturers, all of them pretty much are going to make a Garmin standard mount. And that was one issue I have had in the past with my Brighton unit. A lot more selective and not as many companies will make that, especially if you want to order on Amazon or stateside. This using the Garmin style mount makes it so much easier to live with and transfer between different bikes and different mounting styles. Now, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I'll have to admit, these are the things I disliked about it. Some things I think could be fixed in software, the routing. Now, there's two sides to that. First was, obviously, like I showed you on this unit, if you don't have a route loaded up, there's no basic mapping of the area, which is hit and miss. Thought it was a little strange because there is a little bit of onboard storage of this to where I get you getting like maybe just a county that you could preload or something your relative regular area. Keep the data low because obviously that's a lot of storage to include for, let's call it the United States. So I get that aspect of it. Now, sometimes it is nice to refer to the map if you are riding, so you don't have to pull your phone out, but you're going to be doing that much map swiping or pixel peeping basically at that point. You're probably going to want to pull over and pull your phone out anyway. So I don't think that that's the end of the world, to be honest. The last one that I hope they can solve with some software development is just the route syncing for Strava in-app. Obviously, I found the workaround to it. And if you're getting a route from buddies, typically you're going to send it to where you can download the GXP file, but it's an extra layer or a step that you have to do. If it's one of your personal ones, you have to have a desktop or some way to send you the GXP file, which you can't natively do through their app, even if you are a premium member. So those are the two main kind of maybe four things that I would say were a little bit of a but not a deal breaker, honestly. And if I was new to cycling, 100% yes, please, on one of these. To have those small little niggles for the price point and the features that are in this thing, hands down, totally recommend. It's not perfect. Some things I think could easily be fixed. And the things that are on here that are, I guess, the issues I mentioned, I think are pretty small in comparison when weighing out everything overall of what it features. That being said, let me know in the comments below what unit you use if you are interested in buying this one. If you are, check the links in the links below for information on this unit. If you want to pick one up yourself, I'm going to try to get you guys the best discount I can so you can save some money, and it does help support the channel so I can do more videos like this more frequently. So thanks for watching this episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked in today, like tutorials